Crawford County murder case that went unsolved for years is now moving forward. The sheriff's office announced the arrest of 2 people and the death of 76-year-old Jerry Wiley. Now, one of those suspects has been a suspect from the beginning, according to Sheriff Daniel Perry. 44-year-old Charles Wiggington and 52-year-old Robert Croft are charged with first-degree murder in the shooting death of Jerry Wiley. Investigators say the 2 men went to Wiley's Alma home in October of 2022 and shot him.
The facts of it is that they drove to his house that day. They were acquaintances, and during their time there, Mr. Wiley was shot twice. They left the residence, taking some property with them, basically.
Both men are being held without bond. Wiggington is expected to go before a judge tomorrow, and Croft is in another facility waiting to be moved to Crawford County tonight. Well, new Arkansas law has been used to charge a Springdale business owner after police say he tried to pay for sex with a child at a Bentonville hotel. Zachary Estep has pleaded not guilty to capital rape. That's a new law that went into effect last year. To be charged, the crime would have to involve children under 13 years old and other circumstances, like using a gun as a threat to commit the sex act, or if it's a repeat offender. It's punishable by death or with life without parole. But Benton County Prosecutor Brian Sexton says that means an additional burden of proof.
Not every case will be subject to a capital punishment recommendation from the state because the state has to meet that additional burden beyond just meeting its burden of proof on the actual charge itself. We've got to prove something more in sentencing that sometimes we'll have and sometimes we won't.
Estep has been released from the Benton County Jail after posting a $500,000 bond. More details on what led up to his arrest can be found on our website, 5newsonline.com. And Arkansas State Police are investigating after a Bentonville police officer hit a cyclist while driving. The department says this happened yesterday morning. An officer was turning onto South Walton Boulevard from Southwest 14th Street and hit the cyclist while they were crossing a crosswalk. Police say the cyclist was transported to the hospital. No word, though, on their condition tonight. We talked to another cyclist today in that area who says he's been in a similar situation at the same intersection.
I've seen a lot of fender benders, a lot of Walmart trucks. We've seen wrecks right here at the intersection quite a bit too. I've had a couple of close calls myself and almost got hit. People just not looking on their phones, and you got to really be careful.
We did reach out to Bentonville police today for comment, but have not heard back tonight. An NBA player has died, and officials in Tennessee are now investigating the cause of death. It comes just a month after he was arrested in Arkansas. Brandon Clark played more than 300 games in his 7-year career with the Memphis Grizzlies. Last month, Clark was arrested in Cross County, Arkansas, and charged with speeding, improper passing, fleeing, and also drug possession and trafficking. He was released from jail just a day later and was scheduled to be arraigned this week. The NBA and Grizzlies organization released statements saying they were devastated by Clark's passing. He was 29 years old. Well, President Trump is on his way to China for a high-stakes summit with President Xi Jinping. The war with Iran is expected to be one of the main topics of discussion, and China is the top purchaser of Iranian oil, so its president could pressure Iran to make a deal. Jesse Mitchell reports President Trump is also talking about the economy and the war, saying high gas prices in the U.S. will not force his hand.
As President Trump departed for Beijing, he expressed optimism about this week's high-stakes summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping.
He's been a friend of mine. He's been somebody that we get along with. And I think you're going to see that good things are going to happen. This is going to be a very exciting trip.
But when the president arrives Wednesday, the war with Iran will hang over the talks with the Chinese leader. Trump downplayed the need for Xi to intervene in the stalled peace talks with Tehran.
No, I don't think we need any help with Iran. We'll win it one way or the other.
He also indicated he won't let rising energy prices shape his handling of the conflict, now in a tenuous ceasefire.
The only thing that matters when I'm talking about Iran, they can't have a nuclear weapon. I don't think about American financial situation. I don't think about anybody. I think about one thing. We cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon.
China is the top purchaser of Iranian oil and could pressure the regime to make a deal. Tariffs, artificial intelligence, and Taiwan will all be major summit topics, with President Xi expected to press President Trump on slowing U.S. arms sales to Taiwan. Jesse Mitchell, CBS News.
The Pentagon gave lawmakers an updated estimate for the cost of the war with Iran, now said to be around $29 billion. Well, at tonight's Fayetteville City Council agenda session, members say they're preparing for what they say could be a lively meeting next week. An appeal for Swarm Arrow's drone manufacturing plant near Drake Field will be heard at that meeting. The Board of Adjusters voted to appeal the company's business license after a resident claimed they were improperly classified. But now Swarm Arrow is trying to reverse that decision. City Development Services Director said during tonight's meeting, it was the first time in recent memory this type of item would be voted on. The mayor says next week's meeting could go into a second day.
I know that this will has the potential to be a lively meeting with a lot of public comment. And so one of the things that I conferred with our assistant city attorney about is that it is my intent to request at 10:30 a motion to adjourn and then resume immediately the next day and evening.
Swarm Arrow will host a town hall ahead of that meeting to speak to residents directly. That will be tomorrow night at 6 at the Fayetteville Public Library. And an appeal for the new Ramey Junior High School was expected to be discussed tonight, but council didn't talk much about it. Councilmember Teresa Turk is appealing the decision to approve plans for the new campus just off College. In a letter, she cites multiple concerns from residents, including traffic safety and how runoff might impact nearby properties. Council is expected to discuss it more at their regular meeting next week. The Springdale School Board has approved attendance zones that will send Jones Elementary students to 2 different schools. 152 students will move to Biari Elementary. 187 will go to Knapp Elementary. More are going to Knapp because it's the biggest elementary school in the district and there's more room to grow. Students will stay in their designated feeder patterns according to the district. Jones Elementary is being turned into a regional center for student support. The district voted on that in March. And Fort Smith Board of Directors is now likely to discuss whether to put a government form change to voters. A petition's been going around that would change the city's government to a mayoral form. The city's been running on an administrative form of government since 1967. Tonight at their study session, the board agreed to discuss next week whether to draw a ballot question to change the form of government. The board will decide whether to put it on this November's ballot or next year's. Board members also heard a presentation on how the transition between the forms of government would look. Well, Bentonville City Council members faced a big decision tonight, how to fill a vacant seat after a council member resigned. Some members wanted to wait until November so voters could elect a replacement, while others said the seat needed to be filled sooner. In the end, the council voted to appoint a new member temporarily. 5 News reporter Taylor Howard shows us the discussion and who will now serve in the role.
Citizens should have a right to elect their representatives. Because this term is still 2 years, that's a long time for 8 of us to make a decision and just appoint someone to fill that spot.
That was one of the biggest points of debate as Bentonville City Council members decided how to fill an open Ward 1 seat, a position that helps make decisions on city spending, development, and road projects. The vacancy comes after former council member Gayatri Richardson resigned from the position. Some members wanted to wait until November so voters could choose a representative in the general election. Others said leaving the seat open for months could create financial challenges for the council, and holding a special election could cost the city about $15,000. After hearing from 10 candidates, council members reversed an earlier decision to wait until November and voted to appoint Dan Grover to the seat temporarily.
I was not voted by the public. I was appointed by the city council, and so I see myself with a large responsibility to serve the city well and show the public that I can serve their best interests.
Grover told 5 News he has a master's degree in business administration, as council members looked for someone with strong financial experience to fill the role.
I'm looking forward to making sure that Bentonville stays responsible fiscally. I think that's something that's, that I've observed that we've done a good job so far, and I just want to make sure that continues.
Grover also described himself as a Bentonville believer, saying he wants to help the city continue to grow while maintaining its small town feel.
Bentonville's home now, and in 20 years from now, when my kids come back, I want them to be able to come back and still call it home.
Grover will fill the seat until the November election, where voters will decide who fills the seat long term. In Bentonville, covering news where you live, Taylor Howard, 5 News.